Dana White's Contender Series 2021 Week 3. This season has been non-stop action ever since it kicked off, especially last week's episode. You guys already know what this fight card is going to be like. We got 6 fights on the card, and this show just never seems to disappoint. Let's get into it.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What's up, you guys? So as stated, we have 6 fights on a Tuesday night card on a show that just seems to deliver like no other. If you ask me, these Dana White's Contender Series events are more exciting than some of the pay-per-view events that happen. Of course, we're not talking about the same type of names in the game, but these fighters are young, hungry. They're desperate to get signed by the UFC, and they go out there and they deliver every single time. So you guys know Tuesday night is going to be a hell of a night with 6 fights on the card. And breaking down tape on these fighters all bring it. It's going to be an awesome night of fights. And we're going to get into the card here in a second. Real quick, though, I want to thank everybody that has went over and subscribed to my brother channel, Sports Betting Weekly. And shout out to everybody that took my free play that I gave you guys, the Miami Dolphins at plus 165 odds. An underdog spot there. And, of course, if you guys watched the game, you saw they came through. But, again, shout out to everybody that came through and subscribe to the channel. I'll have that link below in the description of this video if you guys are interested in checking that out. I'm going to have weekly sports bet videos out to you guys besides just MMA. If you guys bet other types of sports, football, basketball, hockey, baseball, all that, I'll have content coming out over there as well. So, once again, I appreciate you guys a lot. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into the first fight of the event. We got Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Julia Palastri. 2 flyweight fighters. We have a Canadian fighter and a Brazilian fighter. I think this actually has the makings to be quite the fight here for 2 women fighting at the 125-pound weight division. Jasmine, I want to talk about her first. 5-1 as a professional. I was quite impressed from the tape I was able to pull up on her. Really worked the clinch very well, was throwing beautiful knees in the clinch, very flexible with her kicks too, threw a nice head kick. This is a fight that you can pull up that's on YouTube. It was a 52-second fight. She got the finish there, but it was quite impressive. I like the frame on this girl, 5'7", and has striking experience and seems to have an idea what she's doing on the ground. You love to see her here brushing shoulders with Marab, the black sheep. Dravashili, the black sheep, the black horse, whatever you want to call him. This guy is going to be making a run in the near future, but an excellent grappler. So you love to see her putting in work with excellent talent like that. We take a look at her opponent. Her opponent Julia, 8-2 as a professional, has a little bit more experience and definitely doesn't look like she's clueless. When you watch her fights, I mean she's confident on the feet. She's not really that active. Again, you could pull up some of her fights here as well. Likes to work the leg kicks. She seems confident when she's in there. She's not really that aggressive, though, if you ask me. I think there was some moments where she could have even been a little bit more aggressive in her fights. But she takes her time in there. She has decent technique. She's not a bad fighter. I think she's going to be pretty much undersized in this fight, right? I mean, Jasmine has a 5-inch height advantage. We don't have a reach for Jasmine, but you can bet your boots that it's going to be a lot longer than 62 inches, which is the reach for Julia. And Julia has fought, down a weight as well, down a weight class as well. So definitely expect a size advantage for Jasmine. I'm a little curious how this fight will look if it does go down to the mat. Will the Brazilian fighter, pull some tricks out of her hat with some jiu-jitsu? But then again, Jasmine, from some of the limited tape I was able to pull up, she seems competent with the grappling as well. She seems one of those girls that's kind of naturally, she's naturally there with the grappling. When she clinches, when she goes in, she has that natural feel with her hips, even though she's probably a girl that really hasn't put in that much time with her grappling. I could be wrong there, but from the information I was able to pull up, I'm interested to see how it looks in the mat, on the mat. But I do expect Jasmine to look very comfortable on the feet. A very rangy striker, and I like Jasmine to win this fight. I really do, and I think that, in my opinion, the UFC is kind of hoping that she pulls through. She has the whole look, and this is a girl, over there, and she's been putting in work over in Las Vegas, I mean, this girl's really trying to make a push to get a contract here, and I'm going to pick her to win the fight, but we'll see how it plays out. So we'll slide over to the welterweight division on the men's side of things. We got a guy from the down under, Della, Maddalena, taking on Ange, Lusa. This is an interesting fight here. Ange Lusa is a guy that's been pretty inactive. He has 8 professional fights. It's been about, 2 years and change since his last fight. A split decision victory over Colin Luberts. And then you got Della Maddalena, who has 11 professional fights. He's fought within the year, and he seems to be a tough customer, is Jack. Breaking down tape on Jack, I think this is a guy, he looks very physically fit, seems to have good cardio. He's going to be in there scrapping for 15 minutes if he could survive in there. But he's a guy that seems, to me, like he's not the most athletic type of guy. He's not. He doesn't have that real pop in his strikes. Doesn't have that athletic type movement. Definitely is susceptible to being tagged. I saw him dropped in a couple of his fights that I was able to pull up. But he's a tough customer. I saw him get taken down, but I saw him reverse position. He's definitely competent with his grappling. I think he's a decently enough polished fighter going into the show. Where then you got this guy, Ange Lusa, who is more of a striking-based fighter. He has more pop on his strikes. He seems to be the more explosive athlete. One thing that I do like is that he's definitely brushing shoulders with top-level talent. Very, very top-level talent. You see him over here at Sanford MMA. Putting in some work with some of the guys. You go pull videos of him up, messing around with Gilbert Burns, doing some slap boxing fights in the dressing room in the back of the gym and stuff. So he's definitely on a friend basis with some of these top level fighters like Gilbert Burns, some of the best fighters in the world at the weight class, which is a great thing because if they're cool enough to be messing around like that, slapping each other up, they're putting in a lot of work together in the gym. So you like the fact that he's training with top level opponents. I think that if Lusa is capable with his takedown defense and capable with his cardio, I think he's going to be the better striker. I could see him landing a bigger shot in this fight and possibly hurting Jack. But if he's not up to par with his cardio and his grappling, I could see Jack being that crafty type of individual that takes over the fight. I'm going to take the Swiss fighter, Ange Lusa. I'm going to take him to win the fight. I just have a feeling that he might land a nice shot in here. And even if he doesn't, I think he'll just be quicker to the punch throughout the entire fight. Saying that he could survive this fight, he doesn't gas out. Nothing fluky happens like that. I think he's the more explosive athlete. And again, I love when a fighter is training and palling around with some of the best fighters in the world. Generally, it does translate to them being quite good fighters themselves. So I like Lusa here. And Lusa is the slight underdog. And real quick, too, we'll touch upon the line, the Jasmine line. It's a very close line as well. Jasmine's a very slight favorite there. So people are respecting the skill set that Julia brings to the table as well. But I like Lusa here, the dog. And we'll see how that fight, we'll see how it plays out. You see Jack over here getting a little goodbye kiss from his girl before he headed off for the fight. And I'm interested to see how that fight plays out after breaking down the tape. All right, we're going to bump up to the heavyweight division. Łukasz Brzeski taking on Dylan Potter. This guy, Brzeski, the Polish fighter, 29 years old. He's a big boy. He really bullies his opponents. You pull up tape on this guy. He's a bruiser. This guy closes the distance. He really looks to just wear in his opponents. Kind of has a similar fighting style to, let's say, a guy like Sergey Spivak, something like that. A guy we just saw in there recently who took an L. Definitely does not have a Tom Aspinall type of style. This isn't a guy that's light on his feet, that's explosive and athletic. This is a guy that looks to wear on you. He's a big boy, 6'4", big reach. Definitely competent with the grappling. He knows how to put himself in certain positions where he's on top of you. He's putting all his weight down, leaning down on you. He's ground and pounding you. He could work inside your guard. He could do all that. This guy could really do damage with his grappling. Dylan Potter, Dylan Potter is a guy that seemed to be a lot lighter of a guy, at least at one point in time. You pull up tape of him a while back, and he seemed to be more slender. I guess as of recently, he's put on more weight. He is a tall dude, so I mean he has the height to fill into the frame. He's 6'2", still a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter than Brzeski there. But Potter is a guy that has some jiu-jitsu skills. He's competent in the mat. Saw him pull off a beautiful triangle when he was taken down in one of his fights. The striking it's decent. We'll see what he's going to be able to do in this fight here. But I think that Brzeski is the more natural heavyweight. I think that I think he's going to be able to use his weight and his size and his grappling. I think Potter might end up. I think he can hang on the mat, trying to pull some jiu-jitsu stuff off, and I could see Brzeski kind of wearing on him and working him there, maybe getting a finish or just pulling off the decision there. And take a look at the line. A lot of people are favoring Brzeski to win the fight, as he is as high as a -350 right now. I'm going to say he wins that fight as well. But again, you got to be careful with these Dana White's Contender Series fights. Not a lot of tape to go on, and sometimes these fights don't play out like you think they are. So when I see a line like 350, I mean, I get it. I favored him before I even looked at the line, breaking down tape. But is he at 350? We'll see. We'll see if he delivers a 350 performance. But again, he's a bruiser, man. This is a guy that can get signed by the UFC, and I could see him squaring off with some of the big boys in the division right off the rip. I think he's weighing in right around 250 pounds. I mean, it's a solid frame, so it's really a solid frame. But I'll take Brzeski to win the fight. Let's see how it plays out. We got a great fight here. In my opinion, this has the potential to be the fight of the card. Albert Duraev taking on Chao Bittencourt. First and foremost, I want to get into the line. Chao Bittencourt not getting a lot of respect here, or maybe Albert's just getting a lot of respect. But Chao's right around a +280 dog, and Chao is a guy that's put out decent tape. You could pull it up on YouTube, and his name they have his name here as Chao Bittencourt, but if you go to YouTube, I guess his other name is Chao Leo, and he is a guy that has had some nasty knockouts. This knockout in particular against Ferreira Blindado. He looked very, very good on the feet even before getting the nasty uppercut knockout. He is without a doubt a solid striker coming into the show, and he's putting that type of work on tape back in 2018. We're now in 2021. That fight was 3 years and change ago. You have to assume that his striking is only way better now than it was then. So he's going to be a dangerous fighter. Comes in good shape. And I think that he has the potential to put anybody out. Potentially the more naturally bigger man here too. I know he's had some fights up at the light heavyweight division. That doesn't always mean that though. I mean, maybe he's just not cutting much weight, just eating rice and plantains and good chicken, good meat, all that over there in Brazil. I don't know if that's the case or not. But his opponent, Albert, is no joke. This guy, Albert Machete Duraev, is a guy that is super aggressive in his fights. He's a guy that's going to come out there. He's going to be expecting to win this fight from the get-go. That's the type of fighter you're going to get from Albert. Very, very aggressive. His striking is not the most polished, for sure. Throws a lot of his punches from the hip. He's one of those wild strikers. He's chasing you down. He's throwing bombs. Definitely not some type of crisp boxer. But he's a guy that can grapple, of course. This is a guy that has grappling in his back pocket. And I think that's why he's more so the favorite here. I think that people think that he could use his wrestling, avoid any type of submission game from Bittencourt, and probably pull off a victory there if push comes to shove. Depending on what happens on the feet, I think people also respect what he could do on the feet as far as just going out there throwing some power shots. I'm going to say that Albert takes the fight. I think that the line is dangerous. I think, like I say, I respect what Bittencourt has put on tape. I'm not expecting him to go out there and be a novice on the feet at all. I think that he's going to know what he's doing. And you guys know how these fights go sometimes. Sometimes these dogs come in. We saw it last week. Sometimes these dogs come in and that have striking in their arsenal, and they go in there and they start landing some big shots. Some of their opponents start to freeze up a little bit. The spotlight's on them. They know that the contract is in arm's reach. They freeze up a little bit. And sometimes you see these nasty strikers capitalize and go in and just drop bombs. I think Bittencourt has that potential, but at the end of the day, I like what I've seen from Albert. I'm going to take him to win the fight. He's the more complete fighter here, in my opinion. Another major X factor too is that Chao hasn't fought in over 3 years. Where I shouldn't say that actually as too much of an advantage, because Albert also hasn't fought for roughly 3 years as well. So both these guys, major layoffs. Yeah, Albert was within the 3-year range, but both of these guys haven't fought in a long time. But again, the grappling is the X factor here, in my opinion. I think that Albert will definitely be shooting takedowns throughout this fight. And will he be able to get them? I think that he gets a couple. Will Chow be able to get back up to his feet will be the big X factor in this fight. Will he be able to get back up, make Albert use a lot of his energy, start to wear on him, and then maybe he could use the striking that he does have in his pocket. An exciting fight, and in my opinion, like I said, I think this is a fight that has the potential to be the fight of the card. We'll see how it plays out. And as we talked about the line earlier, Albert, a heavy favorite here, even as high as a -365 favorite. So people respecting his skill set. All right, here we go. We're getting into the co-main event. Two 5-0 opponents, two 5-0 undefeated opponents going at each other. Brandon Lewis taking on Mo Miller, but the line is not indicative of their resumes at all. You would think two 5-0 opponents, you're going to see a pretty close line. Two green guys that have some potential. Not the case. Mo Miller, as high as a -475 favorite coming into this fight. If you break down tape on him, you pull up some of his fights, you'll understand why. This guy is a nasty wrestler. This guy goes in there. I've seen him slamming dudes on their head. This was actually one of the videos I saw. Knock this guy out by slamming him. He slammed him like 10 times before he finally slammed him and put him out with the slam. I mean, that's straight up some Dagestani type stuff. I don't know if Mo is training out in Dagestan or what the case is. Definitely has some good wrestling experience. You see him here teaching some of his wrestling skills to the younger the youth out there. He's working on his striking. His striking's coming around. Has experience fighting over in LFA. We all have big respect for LFA. LFA is one of the top breeding grounds for UFC talent. And then this kid is the next wave of fighters that's supposed to come in to the UFC from the LFA. So as you guys kind of catch my drift, I'm definitely taking Mo to win the fight. His opponent, Brandon, a tough customer, a decently well-rounded fighter. He's going to be undersized here for sure, as you take a look at them squaring off right here. Going to be undersized as you see him looking up a little bit at Mo. Mo, the bigger dude here. I think this is a tough fight for Brandon. I do. We'll see if Brandon could show up, coming off a split decision victory over an LFA. Submission, rear naked choke submission over Cameron Miller before that. So it was finishing his fight. Had 3 finishes in a row, sandwiched in between 2 decisions. Only 24 years old, very young. Again, 4 inches shorter. Mo's definitely going to have a reach advantage. I think that Mo is going to go in there and slam Brandon around. I do think that's going to happen. We'll see how it plays out, but I just have this feeling that Mo's going to show up and look as good as we've seen him perform in some of his big fights over in LFA. So that's the route I'm going there. Pretty hefty favorite. We'll see how it plays out. And that's going to take us to the main event. The main event here, taking place in the light heavyweight division. I'm going to cut to the chase, man. It was very, very hard to pull up any type of information on Jailton Almeida. 13-2, a respectable resume, and definitely putting in some work with finishing his opponents over there in the Brazil scene. And definitely active. A lot of fights within the last couple of years, and that's always a great thing. 6'4", he's a big boy. He's going to have a nice height advantage here. But good luck pulling up tape on him. Good luck on pulling up a significant amount of tape to see what he's really about. We do know that his opponent, Nasrudinov, is exactly what you would think that he would be. A polished grappler, a tough Russian grappler. And you guys know what kind of fighter you're getting with these types of guys. I mean, he fits that type of stereotype of what you would think that he is. That's the type of guy he is. An aggressive striker, a decently aggressive striker, but he knows what he's doing on the feet for the most part. But he's a guy that wants to get a hold of you. He wants to push the pace on you and just wear you down. Very, very polished. He's a very, very polished fighter here. And I'm going to take him based on what I was able to pull up. I'm going to take him to win the fight. But again, not able to pull up a lot of tape on his opponent. So What are you basing that off of? I mean, you're basing it off the fact that this guy looks to be a UFC fighter, 9-0. He's going in there handling business, and from what he puts out there, he's a winner. And I'm gonna say he goes out there and wins the fight. The line, he's right around a 2-1 favorite. But again, if you guys were able to pull up tape on Jailton Almeida, put it in the comment section. Put the link to what tape you guys were able to pull up on Jailton Almeida, because it was tough for me for whatever reason, which is kind of funny too because it's a main event fight. I found that kind of funny. Usually the main event fighters are some of the guys you're able to pull up the most tape on, but the UFC definitely, to put him in a main event slot here, they definitely like what they've seen from him. And real quick, I mean, we'll look at his resume just so you have an idea of what he's about. I mean, he's going in there getting a lot of submission victories, submissions with his hands as well, knocking guys out. Take a look at the level of opponents. 0-0-0-0. I mean, some green fighters. Has a victory over a 19-4 opponent. Fighter that's 37-29. And these are grappling bouts, excuse me, too. Some of these submissions here, grappling bouts. So a guy that's probably decently polished with his jiu-jitsu, I'm assuming. Obviously, if he's in Brazil, he's engaging in these jiu-jitsu tournaments. I'm sure he's up to par with the submission game, but I think that his opponent is going to be a little bit better with the wrestling and that sambo type of style grappling. And we'll see how the fight plays out. I'm sure it'll be an entertaining one. You guys know the deal with these Dana White's Contender Series fights. They all end up being very entertaining fights, at least overall with the show, you know. And like I said, this show has really, really delivered this season. I'm expecting nothing less tomorrow night. And hopefully this video helped you guys out with making your decisions on where you want to go if you're going to throw some action out on this card. UFC Vegas 37, the video is out. As this video closes down, you'll see it pop up if you guys want to jump right into that. I'm very excited for that fight card. If you guys are interested in working with me for my official plays, you guys know the routine. Just reach out to me. For my pricing, I'll let you guys know. We have 2 solid spots already locked in for this upcoming weekend, and I'm looking to add to it. Might even have a spot here for this Dana White's Contender Series. I'm going to make a decision here within the next hour or so. So if you're interested in working with me, please do reach out. If anybody is interested in shooting me a tip, I'm going to start leaving my information there below. You see it scrolling, Venmo and Cash App. If you guys would like to do that, I've had a couple of you guys reach out to me and ask me if you guys wanted to leave me a tip, and you asked me what my Venmo was and whatnot, and I've really, really appreciated that. I figured I'll just leave that down there moving forward. If you guys want to, it's highly, highly appreciated and not expected at all. So thank you guys for that. And you know, I'm going to enjoy some Monday Night Football here. We got the Ravens taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, check me out on Sports Betting Weekly. I'll give you guys some free bets there moving forward. And I'm going to be throwing some free MMA plays at that channel as well. So make sure you're subbed there. All right, guys. You guys enjoy your night and enjoy the rest of your week. I'm going to catch up with you guys very soon here as we have fights taking place Saturday. Signing out. Teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.